All right, good evening, or should I say good morning in Philip's case. We'll dive into more of why I'm saying that. Thank you so much for joining Agile Learning Labs and our LinkedIn Live today. I'm Susan. I'm an Agile coach with Agile Learning Labs, and I am joining right outside of Los Angeles in sunny Santa Clarita. Chris, who are you, and where are you joining from?
I am Chris Sims. I am an Agile coach at Agile Learning Labs. No, I am an Agile coach at Agile Learning Labs. And I'm joining from San Mateo, California this evening.
Excellent. Thanks for being with us, Chris. And we have Philip. Philip, tell us who you are and where you're joining from and why I might have told you good morning.
Good morning, because I am just waking up right now. My name is Phillip Marshall. And even though I am in Agile Learning Labs right now, I'm not a part of Agile Learning Labs, but I'm delighted to be a part of this meeting here today.
You're in the lab. You're here.
I'm in the lab. But it is my morning. I just woke up. I had a very, very early call this morning where I was scheduled to work with my symphony here, the Dallas Symphony. Scheduling movements and stuff like that of all their gear and their thing to a different location. So I had a crew that had to be there early. So that's what I did this morning. So.
That is so cool. And do we have is it a cat joining us too, Philip?
Oh, that's Charlie Waits Tom Kitty. Yes. I'm very, 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 very sorry. He's got a big
no.
And he needs some attention right now, of course.
No need to apologize. We know all about cats joining every meeting at Agile Learning Labs. They are welcome participants, absolutely. And they make great Scrum Masters too, I found.
Absolutely.
I find they're actually more adapted as product owners.
Oh, yeah. They are kind of bossy.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, kind of like it stand a little separate. Only want to be, only wants to So, yep, that's it. That's a cat.
Yep. As you're saying that, mine just joined, so I'm sure a stripy tail was imminently making an appearance. But Philip, speaking of the symphony, so you're doing some work with the symphony, and I have noticed that you have a rich background in kind of music and performance and events. Do you have any stories you can share from what you've done in your kind of past life?
I have a long history of doing live events. As a matter of fact, when I first got into the Agile space about 3.5 years ago, I wrote a series of articles called Rock and Roll Agile, where I compared some of the things that I used to do in some of the live event structures to what we do in Agile. And there are very real similarities and very, very real differences. So, yeah, I had a long career, long enough to have a white beard. Done things like I've worked 5 Super Bowl halftime shows. I have done. I was a technical director on the Thanksgiving Day halftime show at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. I've worked on America's Got Talent. I've worked just a ton of different live events. Anytime that somebody needed to bring people and equipment, various things in a compressed amount of time, a very short amount of time, that was my specialty. So I that's what I do. I get gear and people and equipment and technology and get it in a very, very short window and have it completed. So that's a career that I've had before I was in the Agile space.
Sounds kind of familiar. Oh, yeah, go for it. Yeah, tell us more.
Yeah, I'm still doing a little bit right now with the symphony. So in between contracts right now, to stretch out some stuff, I'm working on our local symphony for these. It's like same type of thing. So.
Amazing. As you were describing, kind of building something in a compressed time frame, perhaps with, a lot of stress and pressure, maybe on a team. That sounds kind of familiar to me. Chris, is it ringing a bell with you?
Sounds like something. Yeah, sounds like something. So Philip, something we have a bit in common is one of my early careers was in music performance. I was a lounge lizard, so a bunch of top 40 bands, traveling bands, and stuff like that. And when I later got into software product development and management and all that stuff in that space. I used to say, only slightly humorously, that everything I needed to know about leading teams of software and product developers, I learned being a band leader.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like the similarities are unreal. Like as far as that, like I come from that line too. That's how I got into the career that I was. I was a traveling musician, and I quickly learned that the money, no matter what level that you are of a musician, the money was behind the stage, and so that's kind of that's where I gravitated towards when I decided that I wanted to eat. So
that's what I was doing wrong. I never looked behind the stage.
That's where the money was. That's where it was. It was back there. Anyway.
So Eddie in chat says nice. I think Eddie's responding to just all of the cool things that you've been involved with, Phillip. Halftime shows, Super Bowl events. That's amazing. How did you make the transition from all of that into the world of Agile and Scrum?
Well, COVID happened. It was what happened with me. COVID happened and shut everything down. There's no live events. There's nothing going on. And so I have always had a foot in technology. My father was a muckety-muck in IBM. I grew up I'm aging myself, but I grew up programming in Basic A and COBOL when I was a kid. Like way back, and Pascal. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I haven't coded. I'm not a very good coder. I've never been a good coder. But those were some of the things that I did way in the back. And I've always kept up with technology and everything like that. And a ton of technology is used for live events. So having that ability to be able to talk to people and that is something that I've always had. So when COVID hit, I decided that I would look into this Agile and Scrum thing because I'd been a project manager for all these years, and I started like learning. There's different ways to run projects, and so I learned about Agile, and like immediately upon learning about Scrum, there was nothing to do. Everybody I knew was out of work. So I started putting teams of people together. This is like I found out COVID hit. Within 2 or 3 weeks, I had sat in front of my computer until I had a PSM. Basically, I learned about Agile and then went and got certified by PSM. A couple of weeks after that, I started the Agile Endeavor, which is I called it something different, but it's a little program that I had for everyone that was out of work to be able to practice using Scrum. So I started practicing Scrum immediately, right at the beginning of the pandemic. So far, those efforts, I did it very, very, very poorly to start out. But so far, those efforts, I've seen over 100 people find gainful employment or career advancement through those efforts. And I still will host teams every now and again. I'm on a little bit of a hiatus right now, but I'll host teams there for every now and again. And I kind of function as a product owner for that right now.
So I'm dying to hear more about that.
Yes.
How did you put it together? What did the teams do? I'm fascinated.
Well, part of the PMI group that I belong to, PMI Dallas, there was a guy by the name of, I'm going to shout out John Signo, and he has something called Branded Land, which was teaching people how to effectively look for work. So there was a ton of people in this Branded Land, beginning of COVID, and I invited people to start, like I just found out about Scrum, I had invited people to start doing sprints with me. So we started running sprints, and the first team all wound up landing jobs in the first 2 or 3 months. And then basically I allowed the teams to figure out what the backlog items were. A lot of it had to do with the things that were being taught in that little Branded Land session. And that's kind of expanded from there. People focusing on how to create the best resume, people focusing on how to create, how to research and apply for jobs. One of the things that has been constantly an effort for that thing is continual education and learning. When I am on a job search, I spend 1/4 of my time learning something new. So I think that's very important as well. And then as far as that goes, actually interviewing as well. So there's a little 5-step thing in my product backlog. All has those are the epics. They all have little breakdowns, little user stories for job search activities. So that's kind of that.
So you're really facilitating self-managing teams of job seekers, it sounds like.
We've had a good group of people that have been a part of it. Like it had some really excellent people, some lifelong friends and colleagues now. And like I said, it's always exciting to see people like celebrate wins. It's great to see.
If you had to describe your role with Agile Endeavors, would you say that you're more of a Scrum Master or a product owner, or are you a mix of the two?
I started out as a Scrum Master because the guy that had taught Brandonland and everything like that was more of the product owner because he had a little bit more knowledge and knew, but since then, I have kind of taken over the role of product owner. Okay. Where I measure the value of what's going on. So I do facilitate meetings, but I stay out of the daily scrums. I let the people have their daily scrums, and I'll facilitate retrospectives and reviews and planning meetings. So.
Nice.
So I think I'm not a scrum master there. I think. So.
Maybe a little bit. Staying out of the team's way is often the hallmark of a good Scrum Master, I would say. So it sounds to me like you're doing a good job of being a little bit of both. Is there a role that you tend to gravitate towards more amongst Scrum Master, product owner, or developer?
I really, really think that there's a symbiotic relationship between all of them. Yes. As long as you're not doing them all. Like I got a call today, somebody wanted me to interview for a product owner and a Scrum Master role. And I told them I would interview for one of them.
I love that. It was the famous / product owner / Scrum Master.
Yeah, product owner. I told them that I said those are like those roles are in conflict with each other. Like I cannot do a product owner role without putting my Scrum Master role in jeopardy, and I cannot do a Scrum Master role without putting the product owner role in jeopardy. So that was just one of the things today. I normally see project manager / Scrum Master, which is like absolutely crazy, but this was product owner. They want a product owner and a Scrum Master.
Yeah, it can be done, but not well.
I did tell them I was an agile coach.
Oh, okay.
That I could help them be more productive.
Yeah.
If they would like. So.
Along those lines, tell us more about. So you've been essentially running the Agile Endeavor, and as we touched on, you've been a Scrum Master, you've been a product owner with that. You're learning about Agile. You're getting your PSM during the pandemic. What other kinds of experience have you had that really relates to Agile and coaching?
To get software delivery experience, I volunteered at the Red Cross for Code for Good. And I did that for a couple of years. I'm kind of taking a hiatus away from that right now as well. But basically, there were some times that I was able to run sprints. Like there was one particular software that was developed that was an application with a phone that would remind people that it was time to give blood donations. And I was able to run Scrum on that one because I had a series of volunteers that were willing to meet and go over that. So I did get to run Scrum for that development for a couple, 3 months. But most everything was using Kanban, just basically task oriented, finding a volunteer and finding something that needed to be done and putting those two things together. So did the American Red Cross as well. So just to get software experience.
When do you have any free time?
Oh, never. That, that's absolutely 100% like par for course. I have more free time now than I did before. Like generally, you work from like 5 in the morning till way after midnight. And just catch a nap every day, or do whatever you can, everything like that. And then you don't work for a little bit. So you work all the hours and then none of the hours for the live events thing. So that's kind of what I'm used to. This is a lot less.
Yeah, this is nothing compared to that. This is a vacation, it sounds like. But it sounds like a lot to me. I'm just impressed by the dedication that you have to your roles and how much you're really just doing things that give back with Red Cross, with Symphony, with Agile Endeavors. Like that's amazing and incredibly selfless.
Yep.
Well, may I
was
make an observation?
Yeah, Chris.
I mean, not to take anything away from how amazing all that is. Perhaps instead of casting it as selfless, perhaps it's enlightened self-interest.
Oh.
And I'm curious, Philip, how have you leveraged all that super cool help the world stuff that you've done to shift your career and your job search in the agile direction? Like, how have you capitalized on that? How have you taken advantage of the fact that, look, you've done this stuff? How has it helped you? And how do you incorporate it into your search, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, any of that?
Well, this year I opened up a consultancy, and the first kind of clients that I had were there is a theater system in South Florida that has an IT department that wanted me to help them become more agile. So I'm doing that with the Agile consultancy. I'm also finding and getting more clients in. Now, I haven't had much success landing the full-time role. But I'm getting more and more people to say yes to smaller projects and smaller ventures. So that's what's going on with me right now. I'm still looking for the full-time role. I'm still searching, and I still would say yes to a good job. But I'm in a position where I can say no to bad jobs. So I'm happy there.
Nice. Speaking of kind of learning about jobs, the job search, helping out with Agile Endeavors, what would you say that you've learned, kind of what to do, what not to do in a job search?
Have patience. It is very, 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 very difficult to break into Scrum. Almost impossible. Like most of the people that have learned Scrum from me have not gone on to get Scrum Master roles. They've gone on to career improvement, various things like that has been kind of common. They've increased their income, but getting a Scrum Master role is very, very difficult. So I would suggest people that are on the job search, do not count on getting a Scrum Master role immediately. Keep working at it, and don't wait until people give you permission to become a Scrum Master. Don't wait until people give you permission to practice Agile. Start immediately. Start doing things. Create your own ventures. Create your own products. Create your own ideas, and find a group of people and put them together and start running sprints. I do Scrum right now. I am in Scrum and Agile because I really, really believe that that's the best way of working. I believe that empowering people to create solutions for somebody that wants, needs, or can use something is absolutely essential. Those are the three. You have a customer and you have people building, and that's what Agile's about. Is about that. And I think pretty much my whole life and whole career has been about empowering people to be able to be working. So put me in a position to really where I can understand what that meant. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that I feel like is the heart of Agile is people, and it was a response to just losing those individuals and interactions, and that's part of how Agile came about. So could not have said that better myself. Yeah.
That's true. Charlie is still talking to us.
Yeah. I have a cat actually on my desk right now who's hanging out in the LinkedIn Live. So Vegeta has joined us too and has some thoughts of Scrum while he's scratching his ear. You just, I mean, there's a theme here. There's music and agile. There is cats and agile. Chris has had a cat in the past too.
I have had several kitties, in fact. Yeah.
Are any of them as vocal as mine right now?
One of mine can be. Usually they've had their dinner, so they're kind of quiet right now, surprisingly.
Charlie wants something. I'll have to figure that out after we get off this conversation. There is something he's looking for. It's probably attention.
Probably, knowing cats. There are some things that you touched on in your kind of job seeker advice that I loved and I wanted to highlight. Right now, yeah, it is a hard time to get any job, including a Scrum Master job. Just right now, times are different than they have been. So something that you said about, you might not immediately get that Scrum Master job or that Scrum Master title, or I've said in the past, one of my jobs has been that dreaded project manager / Scrum Master role, and it ended up being one of my favorite jobs. The intention there was, is Scrum Master really a full-time role? We're not sure, so we're going to put project manager on it just in case. But the company really did embrace Agile and Scrum, and I got very lucky in that case. But don't necessarily discount those roles. Like you said, you could come in as a developer, you could come in, as a project manager. You may not have that title of Scrum Master, but as you also said, don't wait for permission to have that agile mindset or those agile practices. Anything that you're doing right now, whether it's we had a guest, Oren, who's running kind of Scrum and Agile with his kids. Or if you are in an organization, you can implement something like retrospectives, for example. All of that is giving you that experience with Agile and Scrum. Don't be afraid to do it.
Yeah, I absolutely love retrospectives. I'm glad you said that. That's something else that I like. That's my favorite ceremony. Excuse me. I did not say ceremony. I did not say that. That's my favorite.
We can take that out in post-production.
That's right.
Wait, this is live.
I think we're live.
That's my favorite Scrum event. Everything like that, because everything else has a one-to-one correlation, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Like there's planning. Everybody has a planning meeting before they start and everything like that. You constantly have reviews of things and everything like that in traditional project management and everything. There are daily meetings has been something that's been in my life for as long as I've been doing these kind of things. So like all of these other things, but the people actually doing the work, sitting together, talking about how they could do the work better, is not something that is like that is something brand new for me. That was something 3.5 years ago that we've done performance reviews and all sorts of stuff like that after everything's done, but to work on bettering how we do things is just I absolutely adore it. So like I really that's my favorite amount. So.
Absolutely. Mine too. I know we're not supposed to pick favorites, so you're not hearing it here, but if I did, retros would be my favorite. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can very much relate to the don't wait for permission to do it. And especially if you're trying to move your career in the direction of, ultimately being a Scrum Master or an Agile coach or, in that direction. My very first Agile project was a totally under the radar thing. And the group of us who were building that product kind of were like, hey, we heard about this stuff called extreme programming and we learned a little bit about it. And they were like, sure, let's try it. And we just did it. Right. And if you're trying, I think if, following on your advice about like seeking roles, I think if you find a role that's going to allow you to do some of the stuff and build some of the skills that you ultimately want to use as a Scrum Master, right? That can be a really, really awesome stepping stone.
So, Philip, what is it that you are looking for in your next role?
I'm looking for I'm looking for just more opportunities to lead teams of people and empowering them to be able to do good work. That's what I'm looking
Mhm.
for. So wherever that is, whatever that looks like I said, right now I'm working with Symphony every now and again, and I am doing things with a couple of theater groups, IT department. But wherever I could expand that, wherever I could help teams take accountability and ownership of what they're doing, and help them become better. That's what I'm looking for. Wherever that may be, whatever that looks like, I'm not going to limit it to like a specific title or a specific job description. Wherever I can fit in for that is where I want to be.
So, Philip, question for you. If Chris and I, if you were to pretend that we were a prospective employer and we're thinking about hiring you, Philip Marshall, why should we hire you for the job?
Gosh, I'm terrible at this. That's why. I mean, that's why I'm like, 3.5 years in, haven't got a full time offer, because I'm awful. I'm awful at that question. Why should you hire me? Well, I'm very good to be around. I think I'm a fun person. I know how to motivate people. I have a deep, abiding love of others, and I have respect for others, and I have the knowledge to be able to complete the job. So those are all good reasons to hire me. So if you are looking for someone who can motivate teams, and who can knows how to support people, then I'm that person.
Perfect. Well, Philip,
I
I understand that tomorrow is your birthday, so we do want to wish you a very happy birthday. I think, there we go. Happy birthday. And before we go, I know we touched on your background a little bit before we went live, and you mentioned being a geek. You are in the presence of two other geeks. What is your geekdom, Philip? Tell us more.
Really Star Wars probably is the start of it. Like that was when you're 7 years old. It changed my life when it came out. I'm telling you how old I am. So, 54 tomorrow. 54 in a couple more hours. So, when Star Wars came out, it kind of changed my life. But I'm non-discriminatory. I love the new Star Trek. I love you can see the little Hobbit homes in front of me. So, fantasy and science fiction has always been a real passion of mine, which means that I do well with developers. So most developers are geeks too.
Oh, yeah.
So I speak fluent geek. I do. I can talk about that forever.
Good skill to have.
Although I don't know. I'm actually starting to have a little bit of questioning of your geek cred, Philip, all of a sudden, because it sounds like you like Star Wars and Star Trek. I thought it was really important to have a strong opinion about this. That one was good and the other not so much. I don't know.
There was a show, and I cannot remember what it was, but I do know Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is this season of Masters of the Universe is coming out, and Mark Hamill is voice acting alongside of William Shatner.
Oh,
Just so you know that, the streams have been collided. We have both icons, Luke Skywalker and Captain Kirk, are on the same show. So I just want you to know that.
So when the Earth explodes, we will know
why. They can do it. It's okay for me. So.
Wow. Well, Philip, happy early birthday. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing just your experience. And you're out there doing amazing things with agile frameworks, agile mindset. And we've got our fingers crossed that you're going to find your home to really showcase your skills and just your passion for people and teams.
Thank you guys so much. It's fantastic sitting around talking to you. Thank you. You guys are inspirations. You inspire the community. You inspire everyone around us. So I cannot, I'm humbled that you gave me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to everyone who is tuning in or watching later. We had some nice encouragement from Eddie and Andy in the comments. As always, join us every Monday for our Agile Learning Labs office hours. We're there to have a community to really talk about any challenges, provide support, answer questions, crack jokes. We could talk about Star Wars versus Star Trek maybe one of these days. And check out our Scrum Professionals meetup page as well. We have one coming up. Is it this Thursday, I think?
Yep. Usually the first Thursday of the month is our special presentation. This particular month, coming up August, is coaching with questions. But pretty much every first Thursday we have a special event, and then pretty much every Monday afternoon, 3:00 Pacific time, is the free open office hour. You can find it all on meetup.com/Scrum Professionals.
Yeah, we hope to see you there. And thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.